Raman won the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physics. Can you just imagine the life without water? Two world wars which had wiped out half of the world's population. The river Nile, it is the longest river. Hello, hi, namaste and welcome to Vidhyaashram, first grade college, the temple of excellence. I am Nandakishore, faculty of English in Vidhyaashram, MYSURU. In today's session, I am going to discuss one of the pros prescribed to first semester B.Com and B.B.A. MYSURU University students. The title of the prose is Water, the Elixir of Life, written by C.V. Raman. Let us start with today's session. About the author, C.V. Raman is also known as Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman. This is his full name, C.V. And he was born on 7th November 1888 and he died on 21st November 1970. C.V. Raman was born in Tiruchirappalli, Madras Presidency, now called Trichy, Tamil Nadu. Raman won the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physics and was the first Asian person to receive a Nobel Prize in any science stream or branch of science. If you download the PDF format or the file of this prose, this is available. This is given as a bit of information about the author, which I would like to discuss in today's session. C.V. Raman was the Nobel Prize winner in 1930 in physics for his work on the scattering of light and for the discovery of the Raman effect. He was the first to investigate the harmonic nature. Harmonic is the vibrations, harmonic nature of the sound of the Indian drums such as tabla and mridangam. These are the musical instruments and he was the first to investigate the vibration. In 1934, Raman becomes the director of the newly established Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. In 1947, he was appointed as the first national professor by the new government of independent India. So let us start with prose here. As the title suggests, water. Can you just imagine the life without water? There are a lot of facts about water. Water is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. And without this element, there is no life. And one of the facts tells that you can survive without food for a month. Imagine, without food, you can survive for a month, any human being. But you cannot live or you cannot survive without water for more than a week. Just imagine, more than a week. Dead. You are a dead meat. Not more than a week. And more than 77% of your brain is water. Possibly more than 70%, let us say more than 70% is water. The brain of your human being or our human beings is water. 70% of our body is filled with water. That is the reason doctors say don't get dehydrated, drink plenty of water. And there are also n number of things which could be discussed on water. Let us say an average human being, he might spend around 50 liters of water daily, minimum 50 liters. Think about it, minimum I would say. And what is the world's population? Multiply it and you will get the answer. What is the amount of water, how many liters or how many gallons of water do human beings consume or waste or use in our daily lives? It says by 2050, very soon, our Karnataka capital, Bangalore, yes, will run out of water. The entire city will go dry. Can you imagine being in Bangalore then? There are n number of things to discuss on the topic water, as I told you before, but let us not get deviated and let us start. What is this prose all about? C.V. Raman writes, humankind has always searched in vain or pain or waste of time, in vain for an imaginary elixir. Elixir? What is this elixir? Amrita. We call it Amrita. What happens when you drink Amrita or Amrutam? You are immortal, right? You are going to be immortal. You are not going to have death at all. And Raman says, an imaginary, so no one knows whether it existed, imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita. He says the divine Amrita, not just the ordinary one. Divine is religious Amrita, a draft. It is not draught. A draught is different, D-R-O-U-G-H-T, that is going dry, but this is draft. Draft is where it gives you water to drink. Yes, it is like where you consume. Draft is consumption. A draft, a consumption of this elixir was thought to confer immortality. Confer immortality. It's going to give you life and no death at all throughout your life. But Raman feels that the true elixir of life is water. This is just a piece taken from internet. Yes, and the author writes, true elixir of life is water. It is not Amrita, it is water. That is the reason why we say, Neeriginta Amrita illa. In Kannada it says, there is nothing which can beat water, because it is considered as Amrita. You try doing it after consuming some salty dish. Yes, you may consume coconut water. Yes, or you may consume some soft drinks. You may consume any other liquids, but nothing gives the pleasure like the way you drink water. Nothing can beat the pleasure of drinking water. This single liquid can change the entire scene. Raman writes, this single liquid can change the entire scene. What is this entire scene now? Maybe Raman didn't know what would be the future consequences of this world about water. Had C.V. Raman been alive today, possibly he would have just taken few more credits to his writings. Entire scene, what I meant is, imagine there is always a fight between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu for water. Now it has gone beyond the boundaries. It has extended to the level of international. Before it was national issue between two states. Now it is between two countries, where China is threatening India that it would build the dam across river Brahmaputra, where we take majority of advantages. What would happen then? Definitely there will be conflicts, fights. And if you read Quran, it says, if there is World War III, imagine there were already two world wars which had wiped out half of the world's population. And imagine what would be the results, what would be the end consequences if there is third world war. And as I told you, according to Quran, if there is third world war happening, it will happen for the sake of water. There are n number of fights, cold wars happening between two states, two nations, yes, two continents for the sake of water. And that is the entire scene. This can change it. It can change. It can change it from bad to worse or from good to better. We don't know it yet. That is the reason people say, save water. Many, I don't say many, maybe lakhs of wells have dried. Every year, 10,000 wells are going dry in Rajasthan. That's the reason why Rajasthanis are migrating towards South India. 10,000, more than 10,000 wells go dry every year. Imagine, that is the drastic collapse happening, and that is indicating to the mankind how to use water in our daily lives. Entire scene also could be within our houses, within our homes. We run the tap. Imagine your taps wouldn't be leaking, but once you wash your hand or you wash your face, you run the tap, you run the water. Yes, you take handful of water, you splash it, you take the soap, wash your face, and you let the water run. Each and every single drop you waste is a misery that you're causing to the future generation. I wonder, was our ancestors knew the value of water right back? Because they had a cauldron, a big vessel, yes, and a mug, and every now and then they would not waste the water. They would just take the water from the mug, yes, just put it in your hand, splash it. You will not be running it every now and then. You know it, so you put it back. It is the minimum use of water they had. Possibly they knew the value of water, and without it, there is no life on earth. We are made up of water. And Raman thinks about it. It is the elixir. He remembers that he was standing, now he says, he remembers that he was standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. He talks about two opposites. One is desert, Libya, yes, and Nile river, the valley in Egypt. Two opposites. One is completely dry and one is completely filled. One gives life and the other takes away the life. On one side was vast area covered with sand and without speck of green, not even a bit of green or a single living thing. He says on one side, which is a side, it is of course the desert valley. Libyan desert covered with sand without speck of green or a living being or a living thing. Of course, there will not be life. And on the other side was one of the greatest, most fertile and densely populated areas. This is Nile Valley. And you should know the fact about the river Nile. It is the longest river. It runs for 4,150, approximately 4,150 miles, not kilometers. And 1 mile is equal to 1.605 kilometers. So calculate it, it would come up to most probably 6,000 600 kilometers plus possibly. Yeah? 6,600 kilometers. And this river gives life to the river delta there. Imagine on both the sides, it is desert and this river Nile, it runs more than 6,600 kilometers and it gives life. And Raman says, the greatest, most fertile and densely, it's like, he says densely populated areas, it was teeming with life and vegetation, filled and life and vegetation. He talks about life there. It could be animals, it could be human beings, and of course, the lush greenery. The only thing which made the difference was water. Of course, he says that. Imagine on the desert, had there been water, if you just think of taking this water, converting or diverting this water towards the sand valley, could you possibly think of converting this desert, golden desert, to lush green? Yes, it is possible. But can you do it? We can't. That is called nature. And he says, the difference is water. If it is water which climbs onto desert, I mean to say, if somebody just makes an invention so that you can take this water towards the desert, then definitely there will be life there. It was the water of river Nile. The difference made by the river Nile. Geologist tells the entire soil of river, says geologist, one who studies geology or about earth, tells that the entire soil of river Nile is the creation of river itself. Nile, it is the creation. Nile is the creation of river itself, the longest river. What it means, the river is so rich. It has so much of nutritions, so much of vegetation, which brings back life. It's ancient civilization. Which civilization lived near Nile? It is Egypt. Egyptian civilization, one of the oldest civilizations ever lived, was created and sustained by the life-giving water of the Nile. If Nile wasn't there, there would be no civilization who believed to be one of the intelligent civilization lived on planet Earth, or advanced civilization, or the richest civilization. And then continues, we take granted this common substance in everyday life. Very true. We take it for granted. We human beings, we never learn a lesson until we run short of something, we have it in excess. Only when we run short of it, then we realize, yes, it is a high time that we need to take measures. And we have taken this substance, he calls, the thing, for granted in everyday life. But we forget that water is the most potent and wonderful thing on earth. Most potent, the powerful and wonderful thing. Powerful, remember, if there is flood, if there is tsunami, if there is drought, excess of water and no water is powerful, potent. It can do wonders. It can do miracle. And wonderful thing on the earth. This is wonderful thing. Why wonderful? Of course, water gives life to living creatures, both inside and outside. We drink it. We are water. 70% plus of our body is filled with water. And within water, there is life. Life within the water itself. That is why he says beautiful thing or wonderful thing. It has played a very important role in shaping the course of Earth's history. He says it has played a very important role in shaping what? The course of Earth's history. And let me tell you a fact. There is the same amount of water on our planet. Even today, the amount which it had back then when it came to existence. The same amount. It is the same amount. It might be in the ocean or rivers. It could be in the form of glaciers or rivers, possibly anything. The same amount still exists. It continues to play the leading role in drama of life on earth. The drama I told, people would go to any extent to nations if they knew or if they know that they would run short of water, and without water there is no life, then there would be a drama. What sort of drama is that? They would go on to extend the way China is creating now. Let me just limit ourselves to today's agricultural field. Without water, the farmer would die. No harvesting, no crop. Excess of water, he has a problem. No water, he has a problem. That's a drama in the life which is happening. Nothing can add so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Imagine if you love going to countryside, it could be because of greenery. And why the countryside is so green? It's because of water. Try observing any countryside or any visiting or tourist place which you visit. Try to observe the places which turn out to be very green will usually have a flowing body, water flowing body nearby. It will have a rich vegetation. It will definitely carry life along with its flow. That is why so much beauty, you cannot add much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Nothing can be added. Nothing can beat water. In South India, the rain-fed tanks are very common. Where there are tanks, it could be like where we say kere, right? Kola. They are shallow, but the bottom of tank is not visible due to silt-laden water. Silt, muddy, right? Where you would just go inside the mud without great difficulty. Due to silt-laden water, these tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture. South India agriculture. Because the tanks we build is very important. We need to save these tanks. But go to metropolitan cities, most of the tanks are just filled with sand and mud and clay and all the unwanted stuff, and they start constructing buildings on that. So where would you find water? In metropolitan cities. And you will have a lot of diseases, cholera, right? Dengue, diarrhea. Why do you think it happens? It's because of lack of good water. You stop doing this. You stop clearing or killing these tanks. Definitely it will give you water. And most of the factory people, what they do, most of the factories, they let run this dirty water, unwanted water into these tanks, which will pollute, which will cause a blunder, actually too much problem. These tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture because most of the agriculturists, farmers, they take water, they are dependent on these tanks. So you could have seen most of the people who own more than 10 acres or 20 acres, they usually dig a sort of a well there, which would serve the water during the drought, during the summer. Much of rice is grown under them. Much of rice is grown under them because it is rich in mineral. Here C.V. Raman is not just giving a lesson or a lecture or a message to the readers only about how to save or how to think about saving the water, but he's also going a step ahead and is also giving a message that whatever you're consuming, it comes out of water. Of course, you cannot stay alive for more than a week if you don't consume water. But think about it. Can you just be dependent on water completely without having food, which comes in the form of rice? It is not possible. And it is also indirectly giving a message here that the rice you grow, the farmers they grow, would be dependent on the water that they let run in their farm field. So it depends on the quality of water, and so will the quality of rice. If it is chemically filled, the rice quality will have an effect, and we consume it, and so will we have the same effect, the bad effect. So let us give the Mother Earth, the Mother Nature, the good water back. Let us find out how to not to pollute this water, one of the playthings of Mother Goddess. Next, he says, one of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry silt in suspension. Suspension, yes, where it moves jerkily. It always carries the silt. This suspension is the reason for the different colors of the water in rain-fed tanks. What is leading towards this colors? It is the silt which is carried during the suspension. If there is heavy water flow, it depends on the water, the ground or muddy color, and so will the color of the water turns. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. There could be a lot of particles in the river, n number of particles. The finest particles remain with the water and are carried to large distance. It could even reach the oceans. When silt-laden water mixes with the salt water of the sea, there is a rapid precipitation of the suspended matter. Chemical reaction. Precipitation is chemical reaction. So there is a rapid, heavy chemical reaction once it is mixed with the salt water. There is a point where the river meets the ocean, and you should observe a sort of a green water turns bluish once it starts mixing. There is a difference in color. It might turn light, it might turn dark, mixture of green and blue. Yes, there is a rapid precipitation of the suspended matter. So it will reach till the ocean, the bed of ocean. There are a lot of chemical reactions he is talking about now. C.V. Raman spoke about how powerful the water is and how it gives life and what it becomes later. So we have discussed three things in today's session. Let us see what else he discusses in the next session. I'll be meeting you in my next session with the continuation part of this prose. Until then, keep reading. Have a good day. Take care.